The night market was shutting down, leaving behind a damp hush as vendors packed their wares. Neon lights flickered, reflecting off the wet pavement. A storm loomed, heavy with the scent of rain and fried food. Lena pulled her coat tighter around her shoulders, her breath curling in the cold air. She had finished a late shift at the clinic and was taking her usual shortcut home when she heard it, a faint, high-pitched whimper. She stopped. The sound was nearly drowned by the rustling of tarps and distant motorbikes, but it was unmistakable. Her gaze swept over the alley between a seafood stall and an abandoned kiosk. Something moved under a discarded fruit cart. A puppy. It was small, barely the size of a loaf of bread, its fur matted with dirt and grime. The creature trembled, shrinking deeper into the shadows as Lena crouched down. Large, fearful eyes gleamed in the dim light. "Hey there, little one," she murmured, reaching out her hand. The puppy flinched but didn't run. Lena knew better than to rush. She took off her scarf, slowly placing it on the ground as a barrier between them. A gust of wind sent a plastic bag skidding across the pavement, making the puppy whimper and press itself flatter against the ground. That's when she saw it. A collar. Not the usual makeshift rope or tattered strip of fabric strays sometimes wore, but an actual leather collar, though cracked and worn. No tag, no address. Just a single, nearly invisible engraving on the inner strap. X9. Her heart tightened. This puppy belonged to someone once. But who? A fresh drizzle began to fall, speckling her sleeves. Lena sighed, slipping her hands under the tiny body, feeling the fragile ribs beneath the damp fur. The puppy tensed at first but then, as if surrendering, went limp in her arms. She didn't hesitate. She needed to get it warm, fed, and checked for injuries. As she stood, a prickling sensation crawled up her spine. Someone was watching her. Lena's head snapped up, scanning the dimly lit market street. Most of the vendors had left, leaving only scattered workers stacking crates onto trucks. A man stood under a flickering street lamp, his hood pulled low, face shadowed. He wasn't moving, wasn't doing anything, just standing there. A chill ran through her. She turned and walked away, gripping the puppy closer. By the time she reached her apartment, the drizzle had turned into a full downpour. She hurried inside, locking the door behind her before flicking on the lights. Her small studio smelled of books and instant coffee. She set the puppy down on a towel and grabbed a clean cloth, gently dabbing away the grime. The poor thing didn't resist, too weak or too trusting. "Let's see what's going on with you," Lena muttered, running her fingers carefully over its body. That's when she felt it. A lump. Right on its belly. Her stomach dropped. Tumors were common in neglected animals, but this didn't feel like one. It wasn't soft, it was firm. Too firm. Almost foreign. The puppy let out a tiny, distressed sound, curling in on itself. Lena swallowed hard. She was still a student, but she had worked in enough emergency cases to know this wasn't normal. She needed a proper scan. Her mentor, Dr. Owen, was still at the clinic, locking up for the night. If she hurried, she could catch him before he left. She wrapped the puppy in a dry towel and tucked it into her coat. As she stepped out onto the street, the rain pounded against the pavement in relentless sheets. She walked fast. Halfway to the clinic, she checked behind her. The hooded man was there. Not close, but not far enough to be a coincidence. He walked with an unhurried pace, his hands in his pockets, head slightly tilted downward. Lena's pulse quickened. She turned a corner, took another glance. He turned too. This wasn't paranoia. She was being followed. She gripped her phone with one hand, the other clutching the puppy against her chest. The clinic was just 2 blocks away. A car rolled slowly down the opposite side of the street. Its headlights cut through the rain, momentarily illuminating the man. He stopped walking. Lena did too. The car didn't speed past. It crept forward. Her mouth went dry. This wasn't random. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, she bolted. The puppy yelped as she sprinted the last stretch, her breath burning in her lungs. The clinic's neon sign was still on. She slammed against the glass door, fumbling for the keypad. Her fingers trembled as she punched in the code. A beat of silence. Then the lock clicked. She shoved the door open and rushed inside, the scent of antiseptic hitting her in a wave. "Lena!" Dr. Owen's voice came from the back. He appeared a moment later, his graying hair disheveled, his lab coat still on. He frowned at her dripping form. "What the hell?" "I need your help," she gasped, breathless. Dr. Owen's gaze dropped to the bundle in her arms. His expression shifted instantly to concern. "What happened?" "I found him at the market. He has a lump. It doesn't feel right." Dr. Owen motioned her to the examination table, already moving to grab gloves. Lena carefully unwrapped the towel, revealing the tiny creature inside. The puppy blinked drowsily, exhausted. "All right, let's have a look," Owen murmured, gently running his hands over the small body. His brow furrowed when he reached the lump. He looked up. Their eyes met. "This isn't natural." Lena swallowed. "I know." Owen exhaled sharply and straightened. "We need a scan. Now." He turned to power up the X-ray machine. The soft hum of the equipment filled the room. Lena rubbed her arms, trying to shake the unease crawling through her. Something about this didn't sit right. The strange collar. The tracking. The man following her. The lump. The screen flickered as the first image processed. Owen's face darkened. His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. Lena moved closer. And froze. There, beneath the puppy's skin, was a foreign object. Not a tumor. Not scar tissue. It was something small, rectangular, and metallic. Lena's heartbeat pounded in her ears. The puppy whimpered. Then, before either of them could speak, Lena's phone buzzed. An unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A distorted voice rasped through the speaker. "Put the dog back where you found it. Walk away." Lena's fingers tightened around her phone. A cold wave of dread crawled up her spine. "Put the dog back where you found it. Walk away." Asterisk asterisk. The voice was garbled, metallic, deliberately distorted. It was impossible to tell if it belonged to a man or a woman. Dr. Owen caught the look on her face. "Lena? What's wrong?" She couldn't answer. Her pulse roared in her ears. Slowly, she turned toward the clinic's glass door. The street outside was deserted except for the rhythmic drumming of rain. No hooded figure. No slow-moving car. But that didn't mean they weren't watching. She forced herself to breathe, steadying her voice. "Someone just called me." Owen frowned. "Who?" "I don't know. They told me to put the puppy back." Owen's eyes darkened, flicking toward the X-ray screen where the image of the metallic object still glowed ominously. He exhaled sharply and crossed his arms. "All right. Let's think." Lena tried. She really did. But her thoughts were tangled in panic and half-formed theories. The collar. The hooded man. The car. The thing inside the puppy. "We need to remove it," she said suddenly, her voice steadier than she felt. Owen hesitated. "Lena, if someone is willing to track me over this dog, then whatever's inside him is important. I'm not putting him back on the street." Owen sighed, rubbing his temples. He looked at the X-ray again. "It's small, but it's too close to the intestines. If we operate, there's a risk." "I know," Lena interrupted. "But if we don't, we're handing him back to whoever did this." The puppy whimpered, pressing its tiny head against her arm. It had stopped trembling, as if sensing that, despite the fear in the room, it was finally safe. Owen muttered a curse under his breath. "Prep the table." Lena moved on autopilot, setting up the sterilized instruments while Owen adjusted the anesthesia. Her hands were steady, but her stomach was in knots. This wasn't just about saving a stray anymore. Something was inside this dog, and someone was willing to threaten her to keep it there. The clinic was eerily quiet as Owen made the first incision. The tiny body lay still under the bright surgical light, his breathing slow and even. The soft beep of the monitor counted each heartbeat. Lena held her breath as Owen worked, his gloved hands careful, precise. Minutes crawled by. Then, "There," Owen murmured. Lena leaned closer. A glint of something metallic peeked from the small incision. It was no bigger than a pill, smooth and unervingly perfect, as if designed with intent. Owen grabbed a pair of forceps and carefully extracted it. The moment it was free, Lena felt her stomach drop. It wasn't just a foreign object. It was a microchip, but not the standard kind used for pet identification. This one was different. Sleek, advanced, almost military in design. Owen set it down in a sterilized dish, his expression unreadable. "This is not normal." Lena barely heard him. She was already reaching for her phone, snapping a quick photo. A part of her screamed that this was stupid. If someone was willing to follow her, call her, they could probably see what she was doing right now. But she didn't care. She needed answers. The moment she hit send, the clinic lights flickered. A power surge? No. This was deliberate. The monitor went dark. The hum of the air conditioning died. The only thing left was the dull glow of emergency backup lights. Lena's breath hitched. Owen swore. "What the hell?" Lena grabbed the dish, her grip tightening around the microchip. Then, a loud thud outside. Lena's blood ran cold. She exchanged a glance with Owen, her mind racing. They were here. Another thud. Then the unmistakable sound of a door handle turning. Lena's stomach clenched. "Owen," she whispered, barely able to breathe. His jaw tightened. He moved swiftly, grabbing a syringe from the tray and slipping it into his coat pocket. The front door was locked. She had made sure of that. But whoever was out there wasn't knocking. They were testing. Looking for a way in. Lena's hands shook. The puppy let out a small, barely audible whimper. Owen motioned for her to move. "Back room. Now." Lena didn't argue. She grabbed the puppy, wrapping him gently in a towel before slipping the microchip into her pocket. Another sound. Asterisk asterisk metal against metal asterisk asterisk. A lockpick? Her heart pounded as she and Owen slipped into the supply room, closing the door just as the clinic's front lock clicked open. Footstep. Heavy. Deliberate. Lena pressed her back against the wall, hand over the puppy's tiny body, feeling the frantic rise and fall of its breathing. Owen positioned himself by the door, syringe still in hand. The footsteps grew closer. Then, asterisk asterisk silence asterisk asterisk. Lena squeezed her eyes shut, willing herself to disappear. A shadow moved under the door. Whoever they weren't in a hurry. They were waiting. And then, a voice. Low. Almost casual. "We know you have it." Lena's heart stopped. "We don't want trouble," the voice continued, unhurried. "Hand it over and we leave." Silence. Owen didn't move. Neither did Lena. The shadow shifted. The intruder was listening. Then, asterisk asterisk a phone rang asterisk asterisk. Not Lena's. There's a beat. A quiet answer. A muffled conversation. Then, asterisk asterisk footsteps retreating asterisk asterisk. The front door clicked shut. Lena didn't move for a long time. She barely breathed. Then Owen exhaled. "They're gone." Lena wasn't so sure. Her hand curled around the chip in her pocket. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Lena's pulse pounded in her ears as she and Owen remained frozen in the dimly lit supply room. Every nerve in her body screamed that the silence outside wasn't safety, it was a trap. She strained to hear, forcing herself to count the seconds. 1, 2, 3. No footstep. No voices. Just the slow, rhythmic sound of the puppies breathing against her chest. Owen met her gaze, his eyes asking the same question she was afraid to voice. Were they really gone? Lena's fingers curled around the microchip in her pocket. They wanted this. Someone had risked breaking in, without hesitation, without fear of cameras or police. That meant whatever was embedded inside the puppy was worth it. A dangerous thought slithered into her mind. What if they weren't here to negotiate? What if they were here to make sure no one could talk? asterisk asterisk. Owen seemed to share her unease. Moving cautiously, he reached for a metal flashlight on the supply shelf and adjusted his grip. Not as deadly as a weapon, but solid enough to leave a mark if needed. A slow breath escaped Lena's lips as she braced herself. "I'll check." Owen's frown deepened. "Lena, wait." But she was already pushing the door open. The clinic was too quiet. The overhead lights remained off, the emergency ones flickering weakly against the walls. Her boots made no sound against the tile as she stepped forward, holding the puppy close. Owen followed, his posture tense, the flashlight gripped tight in his hand. The waiting area was empty. The door, still ajar from the break-in. But something felt wrong. Lena's breath hitched. Then she saw it. A small, red light blinking against the floor near the exam table. Her stomach twisted into knots. Owen saw it too. "Is that a tracker?" They had marked them. Panic coiled around her ribs. Lena snatched the device, flipping it over. A compact, high-tech design. Nothing off the shelf, nothing a random burglar would use. "This isn't just some low-level thug," she whispered, her voice hoarse. Owen looked grim. "No. This is professional." Lena swallowed hard, her mind spinning. If they left this, it meant they knew exactly where she was. And worse, they were coming back. Adrenaline shot through her veins. "We have to leave." Owen nodded, moving fast. "Back exit. Now." Lena turned, then froze. A shadow moved outside the clinic's glass front. Her breath caught. The headlights of a sleek, black sedan flickered on. And then, slowly, the engine rumbled to life. Lena felt a cold chill crawl up her spine. They weren't just watching. They were waiting for them to run, asterisk asterisk. Owen saw it too. His jaw clenched. "If we take the back door, they'll follow." Lena exhaled sharply. Think. Her fingers tightened around the puppy, feeling the frantic beat of its tiny heart against her palm. Then, an idea. A reckless, possibly stupid idea. "The alley," she whispered. Owen blinked. "What?" "The alley behind the cafe. If we move fast enough, we can get out through the emergency exit and cut through the crowd." Owen hesitated for only a fraction of a second before nodding. "All right." No time to second-guess. Lena moved. She gripped the puppy close and bolted toward the rear of the clinic. Owen was right behind her. They shoved through the back door and into the tight, rain-slick alleyway. The cold night air hit like a slap, but Lena didn't stop. The city was alive beyond the alley. Voices, cars, normal life unaware of the hunt happening in its shadows. A single glance over her shoulder sent ice into her veins. The sedan was moving. Owen cursed. "They're coming." Lena's lungs burned as she sprinted, slipping into the side entrance of a bustling cafe. Warmth, chatter, the scent of roasted coffee. No one even looked up. They weaved through the crowd, ducking past the kitchen, and burst out onto the packed street. Lena sucked in a breath. They were in the open now. Safe for the moment. Owen slowed beside her, catching his breath. That was close. Lena barely heard him. Her mind was still racing. They wouldn't stop. Not until they got what they wanted. Asterisk asterisk. And she had just one thought left. Who the hell had she just stolen this dog from? Lena's pulse still thundered as she and Owen disappeared into the chaotic city street. The cafe behind them bustled with laughter and conversation, oblivious to the storm raging just beneath the surface. She held the puppy close, feeling the frantic rhythm of its tiny heart against her palm. They had shaken off their pursuers for now. But not for long. Owen pulled her into a dimly lit alley between two apartment buildings. His breaths came hard and fast, his knuckles white where they gripped his flashlight. "We need to figure out what's on that chip," he said, his voice firm but low. Lena nodded, exhaling sharply. "If they're willing to kill for it, this isn't just stolen research." Her grip tightened around the puppy's frail body. This is something bigger. A chilling thought slithered into her mind. What if this dog isn't just an experiment? What if it's a weapon, asterisk asterisk? Owen reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone. I know someone who can scan the chip. Lena gave him a sharp look. Who? Owen hesitated, then sighed. My brother. Lena's stomach twisted. The ex-cybercrime investigator? Owen nodded. He owes me. There wasn't time to argue. Then let's go. They reached a rundown apartment complex on the edge of the city. The air smelled like damp concrete and old cigarette. Owen knocked twice on the scratched metal door of Unit 4B. A few seconds passed before it cracked open, revealing a man in his late 30s with sharp blue eyes and a week-old beard. Owen. His voice was flat, unimpressed. I told you last time. Owen shoved past him. Yeah, I need a favor. Lena followed, clutching the puppy. The apartment was cluttered, computer monitors, cables, stacks of books with cryptic titles. A surveillance setup flickered against the far wall. Owen's brother, Nate, shut the door and turned. His eyes landed on Lena, then the trembling puppy. His frown deepened. This isn't a normal favor, is it? Owen pulled the microchip from his pocket and tossed it onto the desk. Can you read it? Nate muttered a curse but grabbed a small scanning device from the mess of his workspace. He slotted the chip in, and the screen lit up with scrolling code. Lena leaned closer. The lines of data meant nothing to her, but the look on Nate's face said everything. His expression darkened. This is encrypted military grade. His voice dropped. What the hell did you two get into? Lena's chest tightened. Can you decrypt it? Nate ran a hand through his hair. I can try, but if this is military, I need to be careful. The moment I crack it, someone will know. Lena looked at Owen. He nodded. Do it. Nate sighed but got to work. The computer whirred, numbers flashing across the screen. The room felt thick with tension. Then, the file opened. A folder appeared, labeled Project Lazarus. Lena's breath hitched. Open it. Nate clicked. Images filled the screen, diagrams of genetic modifications, internal schematics of canine anatomy, reports stamped with government seals. At the center of it all, a photo of the puppy in Lena's arms. Lena felt the floor tilt beneath her. Owen whispered, Oh my God. The report's heading made her stomach churn. Experimental bioweapon development. Canine carrier model. Her blood turned to ice. She hadn't rescued a stray. She had stolen a living weapon. Nate backed away from the computer. If this is real, you're both dead. Whoever's after you isn't just some corporation. This is Black Ops. Lena clutched the puppy tighter. It gazed up at her, completely unaware of what it was, a scientific abomination wrapped in soft fur. Her heart ached. Owen shook his head. If this thing is a weapon, why is it acting like a normal dog? Nate clicked on another file. A video loaded. The footage was grainy. A lab setting, scientists in hazmat suits. A cage sat in the center, containing a dog identical to the one in Lena's arms. The timestamp read 6 months ago. A man's voice crackled through the speakers. Subject LZ-07 has exceeded expectations. The pathogen remains inert within the carrier until activation. Lena's breath stilled. In the video, a scientist approached the cage, slipping something into the dog's collar. A trigger. Then, the dog changed. Its body seized violently, eyes dilating into nothingness. The air around it distorted, as if something invisible had been unleashed. Seconds later, the scientist collapsed, convulsing, skin paling to a sickly gray. The room erupted into chaos. People screamed. Alarms blared. The video cut out. A sick, hollow silence filled the apartment. Nate swore under his breath. Lena felt her hands tremble as she stared down at the puppy. It had a trigger. A switch that, if activated, could turn it into a biological disaster. Her voice came out hoarse. We have to stop this. Owen nodded grimly. We can't let them take it back. Nate hesitated. If you go against whoever made this, you won't just be fugitives. You'll be. I don't care. Lena's eyes burned. I won't let them use him. Owen met her gaze. Then we end this. Nate exhaled sharply, rubbing his face. All right. He reached over, yanked a USB from the computer, and tossed it to Lena. That's all the proof you need. Take it and run. Lena nodded, determination settling in her chest. She looked down at the puppy, no longer just a stray, no longer just a mystery. He was a secret worth killing for. And she was going to protect him no matter what.